I guess from my point of view, Erin was being extremely aggressive. So I thought a mediator would probably help us communicate about it, but I felt like I'd learned enough and still needed some more information and detail, which I thought Erin probably would be able to provide that to me and we'd be able to sort it out together.
What you've just heard is Simon Patterson on the second day of his testimony in the trial of Erin Patterson. It's his words, but not his voice. On the last day of the first week, he told the court in detail of arguments about family and finances. I'm Brooke Grebert-Craig, and this is The Mushroom Cook. Laura, we've just wrapped up on day 4 of Erin Patterson's murder trial.
Yes, we're nearly there for the week. One more podcast episode to go.
Let's do it. Simon took to the stand today and continued his evidence from yesterday, where he was being questioned by Colin Mandy. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Colin Mandy is Erin's defence barrister, and what our listeners heard at the top of the episode was some of Simon's testimony from today.
To give context to that quote, Simon texted Erin about her request to meet with Don and Gail about how one of their children was coping and child support issues. In court, Simon said Erin became extremely aggressive, so he suggested to get a mediator to help the pair communicate about certain matters.
And that exchange was in about November 2022, so around the time these child support issues started cropping up.
And the jury saw other text messages in court today between Simon and Erin, is that right?
One of these exchanges related to Gail's 70th birthday party, and this was in about October 2022. In the exchange, Simon and Erin were texting about Gail's 70th birthday that was going to be held at a local pub. But Erin didn't believe she had been invited to this event, and she claimed that she felt like her invite was an afterthought. She tells Simon in this message, "What I reckon is that everybody forgot to actually invite me to this thing, and I feel very, very hurt about that."
And Simon replied to this text and said, "You're as far off the mark as you possibly could be on this. I get you're mad at me and I get why. At this point, I would ask you to consider Mum and her feelings as she turns 70 tomorrow and it's really important to her." So I think that just goes to show the tense exchange between Erin and Simon at this point in time.
And a few hours later, Erin did say to Simon she would attend the lunch after all, and she apologised for how she was reacting. She said she was feeling very hurt at the time and she lashed out, but said it was no excuse and she would like not to do that again.
The jury also saw a video play at the very start of the hearing today.
Yes, it was the first video the jury have actually been shown.
So it was a short video of Don Patterson and his grandson doing a science experiment with a small toy rocket car outside. Smoke could be seen coming from this tiny car, but it did not move. Now, in the background of the video, the jury could hear Gail Patterson's voice, and she said, "It's working, but why isn't it going?"
And her comment actually got a few laughs from the courtroom as well. This video was taken on July 17, so about 12 days before that fateful lunch, and demonstrated the relationship Don had with his grandson.
Since we've touched on the lunch, it was also mentioned in today's hearings.
In cross-examination, Simon was asked about the aftermath of the lunch, especially around the conversations he had with people like his father and Erin while they were in hospital. Mr. Mandy asked Simon today whether Erin was updated on how sick Simon's parents had become once they were admitted in hospital. Simon paused after he was asked this question and then responded, saying, "It intrigued me that she never even asked." Mr. Mandy then pushed a little further, asking Simon to answer the question, to which he conceded he had never updated Erin on their conditions.
And now 2 days after the lunch, Erin messaged Simon from the hospital and said that she was upset that they were talking of transferring her to Dandenong Hospital. Now, keep in mind, at this point in time, Erin was at Leongatha Hospital.
And just to remind our listeners, Erin had gone to Leongatha Hospital on the Monday. The doctors there realised that she was the 5th person at this lunch and told her that they were worried for her health, given the other guests had arrived and were starting to show signs of death cap mushroom poisoning. At the time, Erin said she was not prepared to stay at hospital and really wanted to leave.
Ultimately, Erin stayed in hospital, but later that day she messaged Simon and she said that she had stomach pains.
She did, and she described some of the drugs they were beginning to give her at hospital. And I'm definitely going to butcher the pronunciation here, but I think it's ondansetron.
I think it's odestatron.
Oh, there we go.
Maybe that's not right either.
No, I think you're more correct than I am. But she was also given saline and fentanyl.
Ultimately, Erin discharged herself against medical advice. Okay, now let's go back in time and touch on Erin's medical history.
Simon was asked today a number of questions about this topic. Mr. Mandy put to Simon that Erin often complained about medical issues over the years and that she believed she was unwell for various reasons. Some of the things Simon touched upon was heart arrhythmia that affected Erin's sleeping. He also mentioned that she suffered from postnatal depression after the birth of their son.
Simon also said that Erin hated hospitals and she had a history of leaving them before she actually could. We touched upon yesterday about Erin lying about having ovarian cancer, and cancer was also mentioned today. What did Simon have to say about that? Did he actually know that Erin had put this out there to his family?
He told the court that Erin had never told him she was concerned about having ovarian cancer. Simon then recounted a conversation he had with his father, Don, while he was in hospital following the lunch. It was at this lunch that the prosecution says Erin told the guests that she had ovarian cancer, that she had been diagnosed after a lump was tested on her elbow. Simon said that he came out of that conversation with his father believing that Erin had cancer, or at least she had told the lunch guests that that was the case. So we would love to bring you more of the evidence today, but on Friday afternoons, the court won't be sitting. So at about 1 o'clock, the jury are allowed to go home and start their weekends before they return on Monday to continue hearing evidence.
So today was really a short day, Laura.
A very short day. At the end of court today, Justice Christopher Beale, the judge presiding over this trial, he turned to the jurors and just reminded them that they might see friends and family this weekend that know they're sitting on the trial, but they really shouldn't be talking about it. He really encouraged them to switch off from the case on the weekends and said the best way for them to prepare for the next week of evidence was to have a good weekend so they could come back refreshed.
But before we switch off, we're going to hear from veteran crime reporter Anthony Dowsley. He's been with the Mushroom Cook team the entire time, and he has a few words to say.
This has been an extraordinary week, and while you're switching off, I think I'll be switching on.
Anthony will be with us for a special subscriber episode on Sunday morning. So if you're a Crime X subscriber, you'll see that in your podcast feed. If you're a website subscriber, go to the app and you'll be able to listen to it there.